Over the last several years, I've been working with information security officers. In fact, this week we're doing a program for information security officers here at the Tuck School. And one of the things I've found is that this job, which was once non-existent and then followed by obscure, has turned into one of the most important jobs of any corporation. With data breaches like the ones that happened at Target and Home Depot and any number of organizations, including now JP Morgan, the world of data breaches has become something that information security officers as well as communications professionals have to think about. So why is it that Target's situation with about 40 million people who were targeted is appearing much worse than Home Depot's situation, which had about 56 million people involved, or JP Morgan, which has about 80 million people involved, neither of which have gotten the attention that happened to Target? So there are several reasons for this. They're important to understand in how people's attitudes are shaped and how a crisis and a situation can affect reputation. The first is if you are number one to be attacked, you're more likely to going to be an interesting news story for people. Before Christmas last year, this was a huge and interesting news story as people were going to shop for Christmas. Once you get to January or February, oh yeah, another information security breach, who cares? Imagine 80 million people, maybe 90 million people were targeted in this last information breach for JP Morgan, and yet we're still thinking about Target as the problem. People have moved on from Target who are doing this and are moving on to other corporations. The second thing to understand is the response. The Target response was nowhere near as good as the Home Depot response, or indeed even the response for JP Morgan. And once the story is actually developed, it's a lot easier to learn from the experiences of other companies. You would like to be the second in a problem like this any day rather than the first, so I think that's part of it. But the most important thing that I can tell you now is if you are a corporation that is thinking about data breaches, you have to be thinking about how your information security professionals connect with your communications team to think about this problem before it happens. One of my colleagues wrote an article at IMD several years ago called Predictable Surprises. This is one of those predictable surprises that is likely to happen to you. Get ahead of the story now and think about what would you do if a data breach happened to your company, and get the story in the front burner of your crisis communication planning and develop a communication strategy around it now, because it's pretty much likely to happen to you in the near future. You don't want to be the one that is caught without a strategy when this happens, so think about it ahead of time.